What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of the Paragade Chronicles. My name's Varian again.
Rachel.
And what are we talking about today?
The Tale of Two Shepards.
Ooh, this sounds like fun. Sounds like an old folklore, I would say. An old story I used to hear about. But yeah, that's like one of the biggest things about this podcast is seeing the differences between us, seeing how we play in comparison to one another. Again, good, bad, anywhere in between. I'll actually start off saying that my shepherd personally is from Earth. Didn't grow up with his parents, so he was orphaned and put on the streets. He ran the gang and then found his way into the Alliance military at the age of 18. So from there, the legend was pretty much born. And the biggest thing was that was his like birth background, but then his psychological profile made him a war hero. So he ended up saving a colony. I want to say Elysium during the Blitz, and that actually got him like recognition, a statue, if you will, and gave him the reputation of somebody who's always going to essentially do the right thing, even if, in my case, there are some times where it's like, all right, let's just get this over with. I'll pull some of those renegade cards out of the hat or from under my sleeve, whichever is available first. And like I said, I will get the job done, but I try to do it right in that case. Yeah, you want to, yeah. So Rach, why don't you tell us how you play?
So I actually kind of changed between doing a male playthrough and a female playthrough. For the Legendary Edition, I actually chose a male playthrough, but I'll talk more about that later on because I tend to do FemShep, obviously. So when I usually do my FemShep, I still make her Renegade, but I try to make her a little bit more Paragade. But I tend to stick to more the Renegade style because that's just how I play. It's more fun to be an asshole. It is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in the case of this game, I agree.
There's certain parts that just make it more fun to do the Renegade option. But basically what I try to stick to is I sometimes do the Earthborn, which is the one that you said. But I tend to stick to the colonist background, which is the Mindwar one that we talked about last time, where you get that side mission, the I Remember Me side mission that we were talking about. And basically what it is you were there were about 16 slavers raided Mindwar, slaughtering family and friends, and you were saved by an Alliance patrol. And then when you came of age, you enlisted with them. And being me, I tend to choose the ruthless profile. And something that I just found out when I was researching this stuff is that depending on which psychological profile you choose, so Varian choosing War Hero, he automatically gets 10 Paragade for his playthrough. I choosing Ruthless gets 10 Renegade. And then there is a Paragade option as well, which is the Sole Survivor, which you wouldn't think is a Paragade option. But
at the same time,
it is.
At the same time, yeah, it makes sense because that's one of those that you can really go either way. You can take what happened to you and make the best of it, or you can take what happened to you and obviously make the worst of it. Let it affect you in such a way that your decision making is just like, I'm doing this. I'm not even thinking about it. So I mean, there's that one in particular. Yeah, I could see that as that half and half, to give you almost like an open ended playthrough. And I mean, there's even the case of, again, since you have that 50-50, you can easily go down either path from there. And they give you the boost to do that with, even though it's like 10 on one side, 10 on another with the other two. With this one, you've got the free range to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, because they only give you 5 and 5.
Right.
So, but the one that me and Varian haven't done is, or didn't choose this playthrough, is the Spacer. And the Spacer, your mom is actually alive. You don't really hear anything about her until they kind of mention her throughout the third game. And there's a particular part, I think, where Anderson actually, I think it's Anderson or Hackett. I can't remember which one.
Well, let's go back to one, because there is a moment that you do actually talk to her.
Yeah, there's a side mission.
Yeah, well, she's the old far off things, I want to say it's called. But yeah, the mission is
old, unhappy, far off things.
That's what it was. I had it right there. It's just that one piece that I forgot. But yeah, you come across the soldier who actually served with your mom.
Yeah.
You're actually in the what is that? The wards access corridor. So when you're on the Presidium, you go down that hall, you go down the elevator, and you're heading towards that other elevator to get to the ward. Well, you actually see him in the middle, and what was his name? Lieutenant Zabaleta, I want to say it was. He asked you for some help and mentions your mother, and he's like, you can say something to the effect of like, I don't exactly remember you, but he mentions to talk to your mom. So you go back to the Normandy. You pull her up on comms. You don't actually see her, but you hear the voice. You talk to her about it, and then obviously in true Mass Effect fashion, you can choose how you do this. Either helping them out or telling them to pretty much take a hike. Depending on how you want to do it. But it is one of those that they pay so much attention to detail in that truthfully, yeah, that is one of those things that could affect Shepard. Whether Shepard knew this person or not, the fact that he was close to Shepard's family can still make a big impact. I mean, it's just like if any of us come across somebody they know, say our parents, and say that our parents are actually known for something, it'll be the same situation. And that was one of those things I was like, Shepard's reputation as a spacer is not just Shepard. It is his family. So yeah, that they
his or her.
His or her, yes. Thank you for that. But yeah, and that's the only time that you see anything like that when it comes to Shepard as a person. Something that affects more than just him, and more than just one or her, sorry, and more than just one bad thing. Because truthfully, yeah, what happened to the officer was not good. He came on hard times and everything, but it wasn't anything like a slave raid on a planet, or being the only person to survive in a mission and that affecting you. So it's like little things that can make a huge difference, and those big things that can make an even bigger difference. So it's all, for lack of a better term, relative.
Now, for you with Earthborn, playing 3, does that hit you home? Does that make it hit home a little harder because you are Earthborn?
Yes.
Because 3 is basically Earth's game.
Yes. And see, again, now that we're talking about all this out in the open, it does have me want to play more ways than just the one tunnel that I've stayed in, because I do want to see other Shepards' reactions to it. Whether they are colonists or spaceborne, see how they're affected by it. But yeah, when you play 3 and you go back to Earth and you see the hell that has just fallen upon it. I mean, you see it from the very beginning of the game. The Reapers come down to Earth, start destroying everything, and the next thing you know, once you're back, you're in London, and it's like, holy shit, what am I looking at? And then you just like, you don't know how to react. You really don't.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that they did, and truth be told, I'm surprised they didn't get a British actor to do this, but given how military families can be, if you're from the United States, or anywhere really, say that your parents are stationed somewhere, you're born in a country, you're technically from there, but you would have like the dual citizenship or whatever. But Anderson is actually from London. Which a lot of people don't know until they mention that. Or again, I think I did see it a few times in the books. He had mentioned it, but for him to be like, with them getting out of Canada, Vancouver is where they were. I don't want to say like ground zero, but the hot spot that they ended up going to was London. And he was like, I'm looking at rubble. And one of the key things that he says, maybe spoiler alert, I was born here and it looks like I might die here too. And seeing that and hearing that when I first played it, like original version, yeah, finding out that and then hearing how they put everything together, it's like that. Mass Effect 3 was just one emotion container. I will say. You had some of everything. You tried to find the good parts, you saw the bad parts, but then when it hit a certain spot, it hit you in the feels, like badly.
More so near the end of the game, but the whole series is an emotional roller coaster game.
Yes.
The whole entire series is that emotional roller coaster that you're talking about. But when you play a game that's based where you live and then your Shepard's background is Earthborn, I find it just hits you that much more because your Shepard is technically born in Earth. So
and to see your home planet, to see your planet basically torn apart.
Yeah.
That's almost like, seeing anything in the news in the last few years, just seeing devastation that might be happening in some places, and it's like you don't want it to affect you, but in truth it does.
It does. As much as you don't want it to, or you try not to let it does.
Right.
And there is another character that is actually from Canada/Earth, and that's Kaden. But I don't think Ashley is, at least they don't mention it with her, but they mention with Kaden.
She is not Earthborn, actually.
Yes, I was going to say, I don't think she is.
I think it's one of those, when you're talking to her down in the cargo bay, she mentions that she's born in one of the colonies, but at the same time, I want to say if you do her romance and go all the way through with her, she might mention that actually in 3, like where exactly she is from. And again, it's one of those I hadn't played it in a long time, so I don't know. I might have to just to get some insight reference or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that she is from Earth. Someone
No.
ever playing about her.
But Caden is from Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a neat little thing that they added, having BioWare be a Canadian company. It's kind of cool that they add that some of the characters are Canadian. And me being Canadian, it makes me feel a little like home. Yeah. Literally. So it's neat that, and even some of the voice actors are actually Canadian. Mark Meir, Jennifer Hale, the 2 Shepards, they're both Canadian, which I thought was really cool too. So like that again makes you feel a little bit more like home when you are Canadian, that this game came from where I live. So it makes me feel that much more connected to it because it's literally a couple provinces over from me.
Yeah. And see, it's also one of those, like for them in particular, they've worked with BioWare for so long, doing like minor characters in some games that have actually had some of the voice acting, that, you know, it was kind of one of those, I think they just came to them and they're like, hey, let's put you guys in this role and see how it goes. And honestly, I think that immortalized them both.
No, it's great. This game, and that's why we're doing this.
Right. So next up, because we've talked about the pre-service history, you know, with the spacer Earthborn colonists, the psychological profile, self-survivor, war hero, ruthless. How do you play? Okay. With the different classes that they have, from soldier, any tech operators, infiltrators, snipers.
Sentinel.
Sentinels, yes. Any combination of each one. I mean, they have a lot of ways to play. So, what's your play style?
I tend to like, I guess, because this kind of makes me feel a little bit more like Tally, is the engineer. And again, while researching this, I found out something that I thought was kind of cool. Engineer is the only class that gets, it's not really a main mission. It's not really, it's not a big thing, but it's a neat little thing that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They get an exclusive Paragon interrupt in Omega DLC.
Really? See, I did not know this.
See? That's why I thought that was cool. It's only the engineer. The Omega DLC, by the way, is in the 3rd game.
Right.
But yeah, I saw that when I was researching this, and I was like, oh my god, that makes me want to play Paragon, because I don't do the Paragon interrupt.
Right. At all. You don't.
I try not to, especially with Omega, because Arya hates you as Paragon. She likes Renegade.
Yeah, oh yeah, she can't stand anybody who does good by anybody.
And you get an exclusive little scene with her if you are full Renegade, or at least mostly Renegade. You get an exclusive little thing, which we'll talk about later on. But I thought that was cool that they added a little extra for a class that you chose.
This game, this series, like it's been out a total since 2007, and there's still things that we're finding out about it. You know, for each one actually. because you're going to tell me something about 2 that I didn't know, and I'm going to be like, there is no way that happened, because I've gone every single corner that I could possibly go with that one, and there's no way that I missed anything, and I guarantee you that I have. So personally, I've always stuck to the soldier aspect.
I do like playing soldier because you get access to everything. But I love the tech. Like I am a techie person in general. Like I'm that tech girl. I'm that tech person. Like I'm that tech person for my family, everything like that. So I already have that kind of connection to that tech aspect of this game. And like I said, it makes me feel closer to Tally. So
there you go. There you go. Now, something that I've just recently realized that I do need to go back through and play is like some of the bonus powers that you get in Mass Effect 1. A lot of those, and if I'm not mistaken, all of them are determined by whether you get like the certain achievements / trophies. You're playing on PlayStation. There's one that I usually use with my Shepard, and I want to say that that's Lift. But you have to use Lift with Liara. I want to say it's like 10 times or something like that to get that achievement. I just realized, like, wait a minute, I've been playing this without it for this long, and it's like I felt that something was weird. Like, why don't I have this? It's like, oh, that's why. Okay, I got it. So now I got to go back through playing it and get that. But from what I have had, pretty much I stick to the soldier because it gives you pretty much everything that you need from weapons wise. Your assault rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, and pistols. And then obviously adding anybody can use the heavy weapons on Mass Effect 2 and 3 when it comes up. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just kept it simple for myself. But I think that if I decided to start other playthroughs as different classes, engineer, adept, sentinels, anything that combines tech, biotics, soldiers.
It also depends on who your main teammates are. For me, because I use Caden a lot when I play. And in this game, you don't have a lot of options for teammates, not like 2 and 3. 2, you have a lot, but the main people in this game are Garrus, Caden, Ashley, Liara, Rex, and I think that's it.
Ashley, Caden, Liara, Garrus, Rex, Tally. That sounds right.
Oh my God, I forgot
How
Tally.
dare you? How dare you? All right, folks. I am so sorry about that. the one that she was talking about being closer to, and she forgets her. Oops.
Oh my God, my heart. My heart. But yeah, so those are your main people.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot Tally.
Well, I will forgive you about that. I don't know anybody else who appreciates Tally that much. But what I will say is that if they aren't like main missions, if they're the assignments and everything, and I'm just trying to, level up or find more on like a particular story, the 2 that I always pick, and it's because of, what they offer, is Garrus and Tally. Because typically, like, again, if I have the one biotic power that I want to use, I've got the biotics, I've got the tech, I've got the combat. scenario, because typically with you and Garrus, your combat goes up. With Garrus and Tally, your tech goes up. So that right there is a balance in itself. You know, you don't necessarily need biotics for anything, but when you're trying to
It's fun.
when you're actually trying to like unlock something, and it takes decryption skills, you know, having the two of them will greatly increase it to where you can get into lockers, or, you know, downloading data, or, you know, doing anything like that,
Yeah.
especially if it is important. Again, like which I don't think it requires like any kind of hacking or anything, but Tally's loyalty mission on one, you know, having that ability could come in handy. Being able to do something like what is it? Asteroid X-57, Bring Down the Sky, where you know, you're trying to stop the asteroid from colliding with Terra Nova.
I just want to interrupt you for a second. I get so lost trying to get the fuck out of there. It takes me like an hour to get out of it. I hate that mission just for that.
I always refer to my map in the game.
The map doesn't help me.
No, but at the same time, it's like I've gotten to the point where I've practically memorized it now. The problem that I will say that, and even though they have kind of redone the Mako, they still didn't do anything with like the mountains that they have you climbing, which is honestly kind of what got on my nerves with that thing. But you know,
it wasn't as bad as it was. If you go and play the original, you'll probably see a difference. But I found it was a little easier to get across.
It was, but they still had their moments where it's like, God, I can't wait to get over this thing, get out of this mission, and get back to the Normandy.
That's the Mako.
Yeah.
That's the Mako. It's an annoying little thing you don't want to use, but you have to.
Wow, I'm going to start referring to everything as the Mako now, just from that. But yeah, like there's literally how many different ways to play this game? You know, from your character background and your psychological profile, your class, any bonus powers.
The very beginning of this game. That's not even getting into the game. That's literally the very beginning. That's the first thing you do with Shepard.
Exactly.
You customize your Shepard. So for all those options to be at the very beginning, it can sometimes overwhelm you if you don't know how to play this game. But that's the beauty of it. No one knows how to fully play this game. Me and him have played this thing probably millions of hours. 300 playthroughs of probably each game, and that is not an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's close. It is very, very close.
And I still shocked him with something. So, you know, like it's still things that we're still learning about this series we've put so many years into.
Yeah. And you know, that's just talking about the first game. That's not even going into, you know, the bonus powers that you can get from, you know, 2 and 3, because they offer the same thing. But again, it's one of those, you have to have like a certain criteria met. You know, having your teammates use whatever, however many times, and then once they do that, you actually have access to that. So it's like
in 2, you have to do their loyalty, I think, and then you unlock it once you've done their loyalty at least once.
That's it for
that's for 2, I think.
For 2. As a matter of fact, for 3, there's one in particular that I know of.
I think you get to choose all of them at the beginning, I believe. You get to choose like an extra one. Some might be unlocked.
Lash with Arya.
Reeve.
Reeve. No, both of them. There's Reeve and there's Lash, because Lash is that one that it's pretty much, whipping them into your direction.
Yeah.
And basically, basically pulling a Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, telling him, get over here. But yeah, I want to say that those two are like the few that they do for 3. The biggest ones are going to be in like 1 and 2, because they want to give you
Caden.
access.
I think if you have Caden has Reeve.
In 3.
I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him have Reeve.
That is interesting.
I'd have to play through again with him, but I'm pretty sure he has Reeve.
Let me see if I can.
He's kind of busy being an asshole to you at the beginning of 3, so I don't tend to pay attention to his powers at 3 at the beginning.
Well, I mean, you do kind of get that from everybody in 2 and 3. I mean, Ashley.
No. You get it from Ashley and Caden. You don't get it from everybody.
Well, no. That's what I meant by everybody. Just the 2 humans. But yeah, they can
defend you.
Yeah. The 2 of them could be a little insufferable when it comes to seeing you, especially right there at the beginning when you're going to go face who was that in 3? The members of the Alliance, I guess.
The Alliance Council.
Yeah. I've actually pulled this with Ashley. It's like, because you find out that she's Lieutenant Commander. She's actually been promoted, breaking her Williams curse. And,
both Caden and her. Caden gets Major.
Yes, Major Alenka. That is right.
Yes, he gets Major. She gets Lieutenant Commander.
Okay. Yeah, and she'll say this, and I'm not sure if Caden does as well. Pretty much, sorry for keeping you out of the loop. And Shepard will say something to the effect of, "It's not like the Reapers are on the way or something."
I think
to kind of rub it in their face.
I think Caden says it too.
Yeah.
I think they keep Caden and Ashley at the beginning of the game very similar in what they say.
Yeah.
Throughout the game, that you get the differences between them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he has Reeve, but I don't pay attention to him at the very beginning of the game because, like I said, I'm too busy with dealing with him being an asshole to me.
Yeah, which is understandable. Because I mean that kind of went around with everybody.
Kind of.
Yeah, more or less. A little more than less.
Yep.
But okay, so I guess the next big question is how much do you actually make sure that you do before you finish? Let's start with Mass Effect 1.
How much I what, sorry?
How much do you do like within the game before you're actually finished? And this is like every
side missions, everything.
Every one of them. Do you do every one of them, or do you just stick to the key ones, I guess, that you think would affect the story going forward?
I think for 1 and 2, I do the majority of them. 3, there is a lot. And I know it's for war assets. So I try to do them, but some of them I hate how it's like for 3 especially. It's timed with certain things, so you get the mission, but you can't do it till you complete this or this. or it's you get it, but it's not available until you've done Specia, or it's not available until you've done Tachanka, or you only have until you do Tachanka. So you have to be very aware of what the missions are in 3, because I tend to always have to have a guide with me, and I hate doing that, but I always have to for 3 because you don't know what is what with that one. Even when you read them, it doesn't give you much information on the timing you have for these things.
Well, if you do go to, and I'll admit that I use this constantly, but it is more so for the side missions in particular, obviously, because the main missions are pretty much straightforward. You know where to go. You know what to do. I use the Mass Effect wiki as my guide. Now, the first, even still in like the first game, because there are a lot, some of them are actually connected to one another. Same thing with Mass Effect 2. You do have some that are within like their own storyline, I guess you would say. But having that access helps a ton. But even still, going back to what you were saying about, when you can do certain things within 3, they do actually mention that you have to do this either before you finish whatever, or you got to do it just after. But yeah, a lot of it is contextual. Like there's one mission I know that you have to do for, I want to say it's Barlavon in Mass Effect 3, which you actually meet him. You can meet him like first thing in the
once
first Mass
you have
Effect
access
game.
to the Citadel.
Right. The Presidium in particular. He sends you on a mission to grab something for the Shadow Broker, which I think we all know who that might be. But it gives you the opportunity to grab this, actually increase your war assets, and you have to do that before the end of Tachanka, because if you don't, things are going to happen on the Citadel that will prevent you from collecting that. Barlavon will be gone, and you'd miss that opportunity. So yeah, a lot of that you do kind of have to pay attention to when playing it. But yeah, in particular between like 1 and 2, they'll actually give you kind of like the path to take for multiple missions that are connected. One in particular that I could say is Hades Dogs, which I probably mentioned in the last one. That's practically your introduction to Cerberus. You first get something from Admiral Kahoku on the Citadel. You got to find his.
After you become a Spectre.
Right.
I don't think it unlocks until after you become a Spectre, but yeah.
No, that is absolutely right. Because I think if you try to do it any other time, you won't be able to do it. But yeah, from what I saw, you got his mission to find his old crew. You find what happened to them, and then
you go back and talk to him and tell him, and then he says he'll be in touch with you.
And then he's literally in touch with you as soon as you're leaving the Citadel. He sends you a message talking about, he found out who did this, and then he's going to go investigate himself. Then that's when everything starts to kick off with Cerberus within the game itself. And it's not even just within the few missions that you're given, because even when you're finished with that, you get a message from a Shadow Broker agent. Doesn't say who they are, but they pretty much just want the information that you've got. You can give it to them, or you can refuse, which I
give it to the. I think you can give it to the Alliance.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's something you could do, and that's also something that happens in 2. There's a mission that does something of the same thing when you're going after a Cerberus operative. So I mean, truth be told, that there are so many side missions that are connected and really tell a story within everything. So
I try to, like I said, I try to do everything, but like gathering like the medallions and stuff like that in one.
I don't ever.
I don't care to do that.
No.
It doesn't add anything to the game itself other than being annoying and trying to find everything. I am a completionist at heart, but I am not that much of a completionist. I can deal with not getting all of that stuff, like the insignia and the medallions and the minerals. I don't care. I don't need it. I get enough of it in one, and I get enough of it in two when I go probing.
Yeah, that's something else we'll talk about in a little bit. But that right there in particular is one of those that when you're scanning the planet, trying to find exactly where to go, you'll run into that. Either the matriarch writings for the Asari, the Turian insignias, damn it, I can't speak, or any of the minerals on planets. Again, it's like if you get them, you get them. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. It's
exactly.
It's not like the game's gonna crash. God, I hope the game doesn't crash. But,
that's why you save as much as you can, especially with games like this, because you could play literally 4 hours and forget to save. And your game decides to crash, your power goes out, something happens, and you have to replay those 4 hours, and you just die a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot inside.
I was going to say maybe more than a little bit, but yeah, you lose a part of your soul, and you have to redeem yourself in the process.
Yeah, that's when I tend to have to take a breather and go. I get so mad at myself. Yeah. I get so mad at myself. Or your auto saves at like the worst part possible, so you have to go back.
Oh God, I've had that happen so many times. It's like it'll auto save right in the middle of something. And I've even had this happen on other games in general.
Yeah.
It'll auto save you right in the middle of a fight. You come back and then it's boom, you're dead already. It's like, what the? Really?
It's like, come on. It's like, come on. Why, game? Why? I literally have no possible way of beating this section because you put me right in the middle where I can die.
It's like it auto saves right as the rocket is coming toward you. Like, here's the rocket, here's you. You come out of auto save, it's like, boom, you're dead. Like, gee, thanks for that.
Missile to the face.
Garrus, I'm so sorry. Oh God. But yeah, like that's definitely like a big thing to make sure that you do is saving as much as possible and making sure that you're in a good spot. Because even if you do have like all this stuff that you've been gathering, you can lose it just like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, make sure you save often. Even if you do manual saves,
also,
I do.
It's good to save too, because sometimes there's dialogue options that you choose, and you end up, and you may not want to end up in a fight because you're more paragon. The simplest thing you say can end up in them being like, "Okay, fuck you," bam.
Yeah, exactly.
And shoot you. So you definitely want to save before any major conversations you have too, because that can be your key to being like, whoops.
Yeah.
I didn't want to shoot you, but I guess I have
to. See, you just brought up something that I'm hoping that they bring into future Mass Effect games, which they did technically in Andromeda, but it's still one of those we're not really talking about right now. We need more bar fights. Just as a whole, we need more bar fights, period.
The only one they ever did was in 2. with the
Where?
Batarians. Omega. It's not really a bar fight, but it's a bar fight.
No, because that was, if that's the one that I'm thinking of, that's when you're just going through the entrance on your way at the first time. I quickly diffused that one. Like, I will go renegade on that.
Drink it. I make him drink it.
Oh no, that.
Yes.
No, okay, no. Yeah, no, I make him drink it too. That's not really a bar fight. I can say that's more of, you tried to kill me, now I'm gonna,
Well, it is.
make sure it actually happens.
He's a bartender.
True,
But I know what one you're talking about at the very beginning when you go in. You get a little bit of it with Samara and Morant. Because you're trying to impress Morant.
Yeah.
For
and
Samara's
there's the
loyalty mission. So you get some of it with that. You get the guy harassing the dancer.
Mm-hmm. You don't know that you do, and then you got the other two Turians who are looking to hit somebody. Yeah. So okay, yeah, you do get that.
So you do technically get some fights like that, and I do love it because Shepard goes in casual, so he or she has no guns. So it's literally Shepard just kicking their asses, and it's great.
It's just hand to hand.
Especially, like, I'm sorry, you have to choose like the renegade option for the dancer and the guy when she's like, back off, asshole, and you see him go off screen, and then Shepard's like,
yeah, and I always make sure that I do, because
those parts, that's what I mean by you have to do certain renegade options.
You really do. You really do.
Fun.
And
even if you do something stupid like that, it's just so funny because you just hear, oh, you go flying.
Well, the good thing about the dancer on Omega, she's grateful because what she say, security was asleep.
Yeah.
But even still, there's a good nod to Star Wars in Mass Effect 3 in particular. And when I say it's blatant, it is very blatant when you and either, I don't know if you do it with Caden, but I know that you do it with Ashley. When you're at the bar on the Citadel, top floor, where you were pretty much doing the infiltration on the main mission for the Citadel DLC. Well, Ashley asked you to come and drink shots with her. So you go back and forth, hitting your Paragon, Renegade, or whatever, and then you get two guys who walk up to you, pretty much like, we don't like alliance types. That was like I said, it was a blatant Star Wars reference for when you go from when they first went into Mos Eisley Cantina, and Luke gets pushed around like, we don't like your kind around here. You look like this type. We don't like that type. So for them to do that again, so blatant, I was like, yeah, they should have done that a little bit more with a lot of other things. But yeah, like I said, we need more bar fights in Mass Effect as a whole. So hopefully, if anybody hears this, please give us more bar fights.
Okay, so next thing on the list here, romances.
Okay.
So we kind of talked about yours a little bit, and somewhat of mine with male Shepard anyways.
Right.
So who is your go-to for female Shepard, and who is your go-to for male Shepard throughout the series?
Well, we did mention that, Liara is that option for both. Okay.
She's
personal Shepard,
the go-to, like I said, she's like the story wants her. Like that's where they want you to head to, because she's the only in the first game. She's the only bisexual option.
Right. So as far as the first game, yeah, I would probably typically go with her. as far as anybody
Male
else,
Shepherd
go.
and female
Mhm.
Shepherd?
At one point, because I think I did do a female playthrough for just the first game, and I don't think that I've completed it through the trilogy. But yeah, I think I did go with Liara for both of them. Second game, again, they gave you the option for like literally everybody. I will say that I have done Miranda's romance. I've done both versions of Jack's romance. You know, you do have the opportunity to just have like a quick fling um, down below the cargo bay, or below engineering, I want to say. But
Yeah.
if you actually take the time and talk to her, listen to her, get to understand her, you see that shift within her. So yeah, her dialogue changes completely.
Can't sleep with her. You can't sleep with her at the cargo bay. You can't do that if you want to have the paragon
Right.
with her.
So that will actually let her guard down, open her up, and then you can continue that. And by the way, I'm saying this in a sense of, say that you don't romance anybody in the first game, but you decide to romance going forward in 2 or 3, or if you want to move all the way through. But one of the things that I think you had mentioned, and I think I was saying as well, is that you can't romance Tally in the first game, but you can pick that up in the second one and the third. Same with Garrus.
Yeah.
You do see...
The only 3 romances you have in one are Ashley, Kaden, and Liara. That's it.
Tally's, I would say, similar to Jack's. You see how, I don't want to say vulnerable they are, but you basically break down this wall. Now, the other thing that you want to also take into consideration is Kelly Chambers. She is basically like the ship's counselor, psychiatrist, I guess you could say. She analyzes everybody excuse me, as they're coming in, and she'll talk to them on the ship. Well, one of the first things that she mentions when you get Tally on board is that Tally likes you, flat out.
If you're male Shepherd. Right.
So she basically mentions, it's her. It is basically how she acts anytime you enter a room, her composure around you and everything else. So, that tells you that she's kind of had that since the first game. They just never touched on it. But, from the time that she saw you on Freedom's Progress all the way up until you get her from, what is that, Haystrom? That's probably been building since then. And then it's just one of those that you play through. So yeah, I've gone, let me see, Miranda, Tally, Jack, and I want to say that's been it for myself, because again, I didn't really play too many of the FemShep playthroughs myself. I don't know. It just felt a little odd to me, or just trying to play through them. Some of the dialogues that I didn't really get into, but I am gonna have to try it now just to see how they unfolded. Because again, with so many options that you have between male and female Shepherd, you're gonna see so many different things from each one coming towards the end. So I'm gonna have like a lot of save files now that I think about that. So what about you?
So for me, my go-to in one, obviously when I'm female Shepherd, is shocker, Kaden.
You don't say.
I love him. Okay, he is like the sweetest thing ever. The playthrough, and you start to see him let his guard down with Shepard when she starts being a little more flirty with him. He's like, oh, okay, I can do this, like whatever. And I just, when I played the Legendary Edition for the first time, and I chose Ashley to romance, I legit cried. I teared up when I left Caden on Vermeer. I legit had to take a few minutes and stop playing. I legit cried when I did it. It was that just, I've done it so many times between the two of them, but just having that, just knowing the romance that Shep and Caden have,
yeah,
it just broke me. So, but yeah, Caden, I love his romance through the entire series. Obviously, too, you don't get to romance him.
right.
And for female Shepherd, I believe the options are Jacob.
AKA the Max Official Wall. Continue.
Yep. Jacob, Garrus.
Which his I have actually seen, and I think that I've played through myself. Theirs was very interesting because he's awkward when it comes to their interactions and everything, but it's not like one of those that is so bad. Again, when it comes to the trilogy,
what he says to you when you kind of insinuate it. He goes, "Sure, there's no one I respect more. Why not?"
Yeah.
And that line just shows how much he actually cares about Shepard.
Yeah.
Either way, if you don't romance him or you do, you have a bromance with him if you're male Shepard, and you still have that bromance with him if you don't romance him.
Yeah. He is, again, probably the closest, not necessarily to a sidekick, but
he is.
But like that really close, almost like you say, bromance, but more like a brother in that sense. Further from
Garrus is your number one. Legit. Garrus, there is no Shepard without Vicarian. That line is that line is just that is a line from 3, but it speaks so true to their friendship, their relationship, whatever you have with Garrus, it speaks so true. Because there is no Shepard without Vicarian, and it's so true.
It is.
But
it is.
I've done the Garrus romance through the 2 games, and it's adorable. All their romances in their own way are adorable. I will say I don't think I've done Liara's fully through all 3, because it's hard to do hers in 2, just because she's not a character that's unless you do the DLC, she's not really a character in the game.
Right.
So,
she does help you.
And Caden and Ashley, they're not characters that you can connect with properly in the second game.
I think the one thing with Liara that separates her from Caden and Ashley is that while she is not a playable character up to a certain point, she does give you information on the people that you're looking for. So much like how the Shadow Broker's agents work, she deals in information. The thing is, she's actually trying to go up against the Shadow Broker. And spoiler alert, become the Shadow Broker. So, there is that whole thing that, they intended for her to, have that huge role in the trilogy. That's not to say that they didn't intend it for Kate and Ashley, but they had a reason for Liara to take on that role because it pretty much set up everything for her in 3.
Well, they had a reason for Caden and Ashley to not be a part of your team.
Right. Which really, if you look at it, it made sense because with them both doing what they're doing on Horizon, when you come across them, or even when you talk to Anderson on the Citadel trying to figure out what's going on, and he pretty much just shoots you down with the whole "it's classified" crap. First thing in my mind was like, dude, it's me. You could tell me what's going on.
Do you go talk to him after Horizon?
No,
you kind of have like a little bit of a confrontation, like, you should have told me, blah blah blah. Like,
oh, see, now I do need to get back into play.
I'm pretty sure it's something along the lines of like a confrontation where he's like, where he or she is like, you should have said something to me about it, and blah blah blah. And he mentions the whole, we didn't know if you were working for Cerberus and blah blah. And Shane and Ashley kind of confirmed what you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you kind of are like, you're my friend, you should have told me, type of thing. And I've gone back and done that, and I'm just like, ooh.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've mentioned that, I am definitely going to.
Because like I said, he's not a character that's a main character, so you don't need to go see him on the Citadel. But I always did that where I went back after, and you can say something about Horizon, and it mentions them, and it's like, you should have said something. Why were they there, or blah blah blah. And then he says,
okay, huh? I like it.
There's things that you still don't know about the game and how many playthroughs.
There's just they did this smart calling it Mass Effect because it's so massive. There is so much for you to do in here that it's like you'll miss something. Just so small like that. So yeah, I will definitely be looking into that next time I play, because I don't think I'd be able to not do that now, especially if they get a little confrontational. I'm like, let me see how this goes. But yeah, just a lot of the character interactions, romances, anything outside of that, it's not like anything else that I've played. I want to say the closest thing to that, again, would probably be like the Dragon Age games, Inquisition in particular.
I was just about to say Dragon Age.
BioWare pays attention to what the fans want. EA may not, but BioWare does. So, to see that, and to be able to catch all the little details that they put into every relationship.
A detail that I want to mention is if you do not romance, and big spoiler alert, so pause, whatever, if you don't want to see this part, fast forward like a minute or two. Callie and Gareth end up as a romance in Mass Effect 3 if you don't romance either of them. And it is the most fucking adorable couple ever. I love them. And after they get together, if you bring them together, Callie has this thing with Gareth throughout the game in the elevator where they talk about stuff, and then she mentions that she has a shotgun. She mentions it in this, like, when you bring them along, and she's like, I still have a shotgun. And it's like ongoing thing. It's so cute. Like, you can kind of tell they have that connection too. So, like, not romancing either of them, I get so happy when I see Callie's name in the ship with Garrus, and I'm just like, love it. This is so cute.
Yeah.
They are like
'Cause,
my favorite non-Shepherd romance.
yeah. Because yeah, what happens? You actually head to the main battery where Garrus actually stays, and then it actually takes the door a minute to open because I guess it was locked at first, and then you see them basically holding one another, and they say something to the effect of, maybe his talon got caught into her faceplate or something like that. And then it was just so cute to see. And first time I ever saw it, I was like,
I was so shocked.
Okay.
I was so shocked, but I was so happy.
My jaw dropped, my eyes bugged out, and I was like, "Oh my God, they actually did that!" It kind of made me wish that they had explored that a little bit further. So again, I've mentioned it a few times going forward with the next Mass Effect game. If it does continue where Shepard's story leaves off, if the two of them are back in the game, that's something we need to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, the two of them make such a good pair, I believe.
Especially because they are with you from day one, basically.
Yes.
They are with you through the entire game, with you through Cerberus, with you through Earth, with you through everything. So they are just that. If it's not Shepard,
it wouldn't happen.
Yes.
And so you mentioning Cerberus in particular was, again, when you do those missions in the first game, every one of them, not just the Hades dogs, but there's even the other ones that are related to Cerberus with like Exogeny.
Yep.
And what was the other one? There was the one with the Rachni infestation on the planet. Sigma 23, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
So the connection between all that, it's pretty much collecting. So when you get to the second game, both of them are like, Garrus pretty much says like, Shepard, Cerberus, really? And you basically have to tell him like, look, if I'm going into hell, I need somebody at my back. And he's like, yeah, I got you. And then Tally's the same way. She's like, the horrors that Cerberus did. And he's like, I know that you don't trust them, and especially given what happened to the Quarians. That was her main problem with them. But even as she, accepts, but then walks away, she's like, remember, these are the guys who thought enslaving Thorian creepers or Rachni was a good idea, and then just walks off. But it's just their attention to literally everything, I think, is kind of what helps, guide the narrative, and really it's those two in particular. Seeing things through their eyes gives Shepard like a whole other perspective. Number one, I mean, it does that with everybody, seeing how things have happened, but it's those two in particular that I want to say you really get a good look at how everything is, because when you think about it, it had been years since the first Contact War, but Turians still didn't like humans.
Yeah.
At the point that you start in Mass Effect, because who was that? Executive Palin, who was in charge of CSEC.
Yeah.
He still doesn't trust humans. A lot of Turians don't. But when you come across Garrus at that first point, you two talk like you've known each other almost. You introduce yourselves, but it's almost like a casual conversation between two old friends. And it stays that way, going forward. Even when you're trying to talk to him on the Normandy in the first game and trying to, kind of guide him morally. Garrus has never been hostile towards Shepard at all.
No, never.
And yeah, that's by design, because again, he's on your squad, and he's somebody that you have to trust and everything. But again, it goes back to how BioWare did the Knights of the Old Republic games. Your crew members are going to follow you no matter what, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
some of them.
Yeah, we'll go with that. but yeah, from every relationship that they had in this game, they really took the time and just they put so much detail into each one to go from one game to the next.
Every relationship that you have in that game, like romance options, everything like that. Every romance that I've done, I've loved, minus Jacob.
Yeah.
But Jacob also kind of, the way they did it, I didn't love it. How he, like, I love how in the third game, Ashley and Caden basically kind of say you cheated on them, but you didn't because you guys weren't together. Jacob actually does cheat on you, and he gets another girl fucking pregnant.
Wait, who?
Jacob.
Yes, that is right.
He gets Bryn pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of goes, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You weren't there. And in the Citadel DLC, you actually get a chance to slap him.
See, again, there's just so much that I haven't seen in this, and that's one of those that I need to.
But yeah, like he legit on you and gets another girl pregnant, and you're just like, so what about us? I thought you loved me and blah blah. And he's just like, well, you weren't here, so I got the next thing that I could. Wow. Whereas Caden and Ashley just kind of go, I get why you cheated. I want to be with you, but you cheated. And it's like the whole, if you've seen Friends, it's like the whole Ross and Rachel thing, where it's like, we were on a break.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that whole thing. It's exactly. Like that does not get old. If you've seen Friends, if you're in our age group, you understand that.
Yeah.
But it's like that thing. That doesn't apply to the Jacob one. Right. Because you weren't on a break. You were literally locked up.
That's not necessarily a break. And that's why, even with Liara, when you like the conversation that you have on Mars, like when you first see her, she wanted to actually come and see you, but you were under guard of the Alliance military. She said specifically, I wanted to come and see you, but, she kind of leaves that off. But again, it's implied that, with him being locked up, she couldn't get access to him, for whatever reason. And it could have just been tight security or whatever. But,
and a lot of them actually mention that when they first see you, like Thane mentions it. And Thane is a great romance. Thane's romance is so good. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot Thane. His is so good. It sucks what happens, but it's so good. His is very emotional.
Yeah.
You'll understand if you've done it, but Thane's is very emotional. Thane's and the Citadel DLC, I'm not going to spoil it, but they do something for the Citadel DLC, and it's just...
Yeah. I was shocked that his character ended up the way that it did, because even for just the little conversation that I had as male Shepard with Thane on the Normandy, getting to know more about getting to know more about him, getting to know more about the Drell, their connection to the Hanar, and even Shepard's like, Hanar, they're really polite. We talk about the same people. The fact that they actually work the Drell, with the Drell being assassins for them. Um, they live on like the same planet, so it's kind of one of those that they're gonna help each other regardless. But just hearing some of the connections that you have between the two races, with him in particular, hearing some of the jobs that he's done, hearing how he handles his family. It's, I don't want to say like it's somber, but it is sad to hear in a sense, because in the one case he tells you straight up from when you're still on Alien, I'm dying, and then he gets into that as you're talking to him, but just
he says he's already dying, so he might as well do a suicide mission type. Basically, right. That's his reason for doing it, is like, well, I'm already dying, so why not?
But what's the worst that could happen? But again, even going into 3, he has a significant role. Once you get to the attack on the Citadel, and by that point, it's like, why couldn't they give him more of that before? And now it's kind of like, in a sense, I feel like when you look at all 3 games, they could have given you as much as they gave you, they could have given you so much more, more time to play around with these characters, on missions and everything. Because there's just like so much context that you can go through, even just walking around the Citadel, on 2 with your squad mates, because they have those little points on like any planet or any hub, I want to call it, anywhere that you can just walk around. They have these points where you can talk to certain ones, and they'll give like descriptions that they recall from whenever. Like specifically, if you bring Thane and Garrus on the Citadel, I typically do it when I'm going for their loyalty missions. If you're going through the corridor where Shepard gets scanned in, Thane mentions you'd think Citadel security would be the tightest in the galaxy, and Garrus will actually respond, I know CSEC way too well to think that's true. And then Thane actually recalls that their security looks just as bad as it did about 10 years ago or something like that. So it's just a little attention to details that they give you, but still, there's just so much possibilities when it came to your squad mates, and some of the conversations that you can have, how to build better onto the relationship. So maybe again, going forward, depending on what happens, whether you have Shepard or you don't, as long as the story continues and you can build your own relationships and everything like that, hopefully they do dig a little bit deeper onto that.
Yeah, and one thing I will say too is, in 2, when you do their loyalty missions, some of their loyalty missions are so much fun. Thane's is one of the ones I absolutely love to do. Paragon or Renegade, I love doing his. Because some of them you see such a different side. And there's one part in particular where you kind of do like a good cop, bad cop thing with Thane, and you interrogate someone, and you literally can like punch the guy as Renegade, and be like, I'm a Spectre. Shut up. Like, it's
okay,
great.
So yes, I have done that. Just slapping him around and having him basically.
He literally talks within the first minute, and Thane makes a comment about that. He's like, I don't think I've ever seen an interrogation go that fast.
Okay, no, you have to have full Renegade to have that one dialogue option. And it's basically like, look, I'm a Spectre. You need to give me this information. And he's like, prove it.
Yeah, and then you punch him.
No. Shepard actually pulls out the gun, points it at him, and he's like,
yeah.
I'm a Spectre. I don't have to prove anything. Spectres are above the law. And then, the thing walks out like, saying, that might go down as the quickest interrogation in history.
Yeah.
But if you have to go, excuse me, the quasi long route, I'll do like the slapping around to get the information that I want. I'll punch him a couple times, and then Thane will be like, "Ease up, he's no good to us, dead." And then Kellen will go, "We're done here because I'm getting out of here." And then Shepard will literally say, "Give me a name or I'll cut your balls off and sell them to a Krogan." That's probably why I love not having that quick route, because then it gives you that opportunity to pull that off, literally.
So yeah, there are some side missions that I can't stand. I hate. I'm sad to say Jacob's character is just
the worst.
His story wasn't great.
No.
He's kind of like a backup Shepard, but not as good type of thing. Like he was ex-Alliance, and the Alliance didn't give him a chance, so he turned to Cerberus, and I didn't like his character as a whole. And then when they added 3, and if you romanced him, and the fact that he basically does cheat on you, it's just like,
yeah.
I enjoy making a nice official wall with him. Let's just say that.
See,
I kind of always
my
do
issue,
because I don't like him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great characters, but he's not.
There's plenty, but for him to be literally the only Black character outside of Anderson that is in your crew, and that they just got lazy with him. I think he was a filler character. For the most part. He shouldn't have even been a romance option. I think if they were going to do that, he shouldn't have even been a romance.
Yeah.
So yeah, for him to just be one of those, I just keep him as a crew member. Even if I played as Fem Chef, I would not pursue that relationship at all.
I've romanced him just to say I've done it, and that's why I've gone through and I've done it, but I've also watched the video for it. His romance with Shepard is cute, but it's nothing special.
No, especially if he pulls what he does in 3.
Yeah, it's more special with characters like Hayden, like Ashley, like Liara, Tally, Garrus. Basically, your first crew members type of thing. Those are the ones that I really like romance-wise. If you do end up romancing Caden through the game, his romance is great. Tally's romance is great. Ashley's, as much as I hate her, is great. I can't really say anything about Liara because I haven't really romanced her myself.
Hers, I can actually say, again, because the way that you described her, and you're not entirely wrong, her being that go-to romance for both sides, the connections that y'all make carry on into, you kind of see a little bit of resentment, I guess, and especially when you're playing the Shadow Broker DLC, you'll have that conversation if you have her as that romance. Trying to talk to her and she just keeps walking off. You keep hitting these.
Yeah, she does that no matter what. But
but it's like, once everything is come to a close, you still have the conversation with her, like, I do want to get this back up and running. I do want us to be together, and you're still doing that on 3 as you go, but for the most part, you're together. But even still, it's like where you have on one part, Liara will bring up this project that she's been doing, almost like a time capsule, I guess you could say.
She does that with and I was about to say that she does that no matter what. But like, even I noticed like her friendship is great with Shepard, so I can see her romance being good. There's one part in particular when you were mentioning the walking away with her being the shadow broker, and you have to do the interrupts to get her to stop. There's one part that Shepard says, and I think it's while you're doing this. He says something about that. The way her attitude is, and that when he fell or she fell from the tower, Liara didn't even look back. Yes. And he or she mentions that, and when they say that, they sound hurt. Like you didn't even care to see if I was okay.
Right.
And she said something like, "Oh, you didn't fall very far," or something like that. She said something where it's like, really?
Yeah.
Bitch. Come on, I fell from a fucking balcony. Make sure I'm okay.
Well, even still, when you get into the sky car, and bring whichever crew member that you do, because you can only have the 3. You get into the car and you're like, I'm fine, by the way. But yeah, like it still worked, I think, with Liara, because you were helping her with just like the preliminary stuff on Alien as you were going around finding this information. But as you're going for the Shadow Broker and trying to find all this stuff, it's still work in the end, because you're helping her with a mission regardless. And then after that, if you're in that romance from the first game, you pick everything back up. But I mean, it's like, on the one hand, I can see it from Shepard's side, worrying about the relationship. But at the same time, I can understand Liara saying, let's focus on the mission and let's get this done. Because in any other case, Shepard would say the same thing. There's no denying that. So she didn't really give you the cold shoulder during all that time. But at the same time, it's like, can we talk about this at some point? Maybe when we're not being shot at. but yeah, hers is definitely one to explore. And like, I want to say that we mentioned last episode, James actually came across Liara at one point. So now that I think about it, they don't even mention that in the third game at all. Like when he first meets her on Mars,
he doesn't say anything to her.
No, not at all. So yeah, I just thought about that. That was interesting that they didn't do that. But he was one that wasn't even available for a romance. Now that I think about it,
he was. It was awkward as fuck. It's awkward as fuck. It's in the Citadel. It's in the Citadel DLC.
Oh.
But it's literally like a one night stand, and it's awkward as fuck. It's one of those, like, really. It's not. Watch it. I recommend watching it on YouTube, not doing it.
Let me ask this: is it worse than Jacob? Yeah, maybe.
Jacob. Nothing can be worse than Jacob.
Fair enough. Now, one thing that did have happen. Now again, going back to the Seville DLC, James and Ashley actually hook up. If you play that long enough.
I know he flirts with her. I don't know if I didn't think they hooked up.
I think there's like a certain route that you have to go when setting up the party. Like how fast everything is going, the music and everything. But yeah, I think once you get to like the next to last part, you'll actually see the two of them together upstairs. That hallway with the sofa, the table, and everything. They'll actually be in the corner, basically just hanging out. And I was like, okay, that's all right. All right. Yeah, y'all do what you do. but yeah, like they they could have gone a little bit further on some of the romances, I think, but for what they did in the game, that it was a lot.
They could have done more where other characters, if Shepard doesn't romance them, get together. Like, I think, I know you can't have it, but I think it would have been kind of neat if you could, if they ended up actually bringing both to the third game. Kane and Ashley would be cute.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get that. You never get that option because of
the first game, right?
It's one or the other,
right?
But if you're female Shepherd, and you know how when you're male Shepherd, or if you're mean to her, like you're renegade to her, her sister, when you go see her at one point down in the cargo bay. If you go see her, so her sister will be like, "Oh, Caden's cute," instead of saying Shepherd.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, "Oh, hey, Caden!" Like, he's mine type of thing. Like with female Shepherd, you can kind of be like, that you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. No, sorry.
She's mine. Back off.
Yeah. Go get your own. Anything else we got to talk about? Because I mean, we've been covering a lot in these episodes so far, and I mean,
it's Shepard. We have to cover a lot because it's Shepard. This is literally our stories.
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
Half, because we, like I said, I do both male and female, but I tend to do a little bit more female playthroughs than I do male because I just love the characters. Most of the characters. There's some, like we said, that we don't necessarily love, but this game is just one of those games that you can do so much and not do a lot at the same time.
Right. There's a lot to it. You know, there's things that you're gonna miss. I mean, you know, like I said, I try to keep up with everything that I'm doing as best I can and get the most out of, you know, what I'm playing. That way you can get the most out of, say, like the end result. Because truth be told, I don't know if anything that you do in the first two games actually go into like your final war assets, but it would have made sense if it did.
Because, I feel like some stuff does, but not major. They want you to mainly get all your war assets in 3, so you do get some, but not much.
I mean, even for, you know, just experience sake, you know, just going out and exploring everything. That's what I love about this game. You know, just being able to get out into the different systems, see what's out there, you know, fight off what you need to, and you know, just have an adventure. Yeah, let Shepard run loose.
That's what Mass Effect is. That's what Shepard is. It's your story. So create your story the way you want to. Romance who you want to. Be a whore if you want to. You can at least be a whore with male Shepard.
I'm pretty sure you could do it without one of them.
I don't think you can make female Shepard a whore.
I mean, okay, in Mass Effect 2, I know that you can initiate but then break off the relationships. I'm pretty sure that if they're romanceable, you can do the same thing with female Shepard.
You can do it, but they kind of, like I said in last time, they kind of are like, hey, you're with this person too. You need to tell this person, or like Tally. Tally's a great one to. You can be with Tally and Miranda, and then Tally will be like, okay, well then you need to tell Miranda, and then you're like, okay, got caught. Like she basically says something along the lines that it's a small ship.
Yes, as big as it is a small ship.
So, but yeah, you can do so much with this game, and this game is amazing, and I can't wait for the next episode that we're gonna do, because the next episode is very interesting.
Ooh, so y'all stay tuned. We're trying to bring these out as much as we can, and soon as we can get everything loaded up, get everything recorded, we'll be coming to you really soon.
We're going to try to upload at least once a week. Going to see how that goes for the next little while due to our schedules with work and stuff, but we're going to keep going. So
yeah, and
keep watching.
We'll definitely be keeping track of everything, and trying to discuss what to talk about. But do we want to tell everybody where they can find us?
There's a lot of places you can find us at the moment. We've uploaded to YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is our one that actually has the videos. We are on Anchor. We are on iHeartRadio as of right now. Anchor, we have a bunch of things, clickable links that you can go to, and it brings you to a bunch of separate podcast websites like Spotify, Google Playlists. We are trying to do Apple Playlists, but it is a little more complicated to get on there. But we're trying. So
we are definitely on Amazon Music right now. But yeah, guys, just check our website, check the YouTube, check the link to Anchor, and you will find us almost everywhere. And we're still trying to grow right now. So if you like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, please share it, comment,
subscribe.
Send some more people this way. Subscribe, please. Just send more people this way, and let's all join in this massive, pun intended, community that is Mass Effect. We love it. You guys love it.
Obviously, if you're watching us, you like something about Mass Effect, so.
Exactly. So, but Rach, we got anything else to talk about?
Nope. Just check out the description below the YouTube video. I put all the links to our main social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm extremely active on our Instagram. Varian's extremely active on our Facebook, and then we kind of do the Twitter and stuff like that. So if you ever want to get a hold of one of us, you'll get one of us pretty quickly, because we definitely pay attention to all of it. So yeah.
Well, guys, if that's it, I think we're gonna call this a night, because we did this a little bit later than we were planning. But again, just look out for the next episode, and we'll have this one up shortly.
We will. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.